So today I'm going to explain how to set up enhanced device hardware inventory in Microsoft Intune. Before we start, if you haven't met me, I am Sujin Ladat. I'm a Microsoft Graph MVP. I do deliver trainings on SCCM, Azure, and Intune steps, and I do write the blogs with the community. Also, I work as a DevOps engineer at the system in CSG International. But this is my LinkedIn handle. If you have not connected, so send me a connection request over LinkedIn. Let's have a connection over there as well. All right. So today I set some agenda for you guys. Today I'll discuss what is enhanced device hardware inventory. Device inventory or the hardware inventory is not something new for anyone. So I'll discuss what does it mean by the enhanced device hardware inventory. Also, I will discuss what is the impact of enhanced device inventory in our the production environment or maybe in our organization. All right. So we'll discuss the prerequisites. I believe understanding the prerequisites before discussing or before implementing any new feature is essential. So I'll discuss the prerequisites as well, and the supported platforms, what operating system it would support. We'll discuss that as well, and the required properties, also the non-limitation. So say like again, if you try to implement, if you want to implement a new feature, it can be anything, so you have to understand the limitations of that feature as well. So this is literally new to the Intune, this is literally new to everyone. I mean, like I said, hardware inventory is not new, but device hardware inventory in Intune is something new for us. So we have to understand the non-limitation, very non-limitation as well. All right, so later then I'll give you a quick demo, and end of the session I'll take a few questions from you guys, and you probably in meanwhile you can just post your questions in the chat window as well, or else you can reach me out in our LinkedIn, all right, or maybe in our WhatsApp or any groups or whatever. Doesn't really matter. All right, what is enhanced hardware inventory? Like I said, device inventory or the hardware inventory is not something new for us. Almost everyone would have already worked with the device inventory, so maybe the hardware inventory or the software inventory, right? With Intune, you can use the device inventory to collect and view more hardware properties from your managed devices to help you understand what's happening with your devices. So it will help you to take decision, right? Like say what is the CPU, what's the RAM, and many other things, and what hardware it is really using. So you could take decision using the device inventory data. The Intune device inventory is intended to help IT pros like us, right? And overall management of devices, such as deciding which devices are ready for an upgrade, or what, what operating system it's installed, and whether which system should go for an upgrade, like what other properties it has, the hardware properties it has, what is a motherboard. All the stuffs can be seen over using the hardware inventory in general, right? The ability to create dynamic groups within inventory is under active investigation, which means that currently when you work with the device hardware inventory, there is no option to create a dynamic groups with the inventory data. So Microsoft is working on that. Maybe in coming upcoming releases you would get that feature that you could create a dynamic groups with the inventory data in future. Probably that's what I'm expecting. So with that said, currently there's no option to export the inventory data using the API. So almost all the options what we have in the Intune have the API. So maybe it has the uh, automation capabilities. I think I almost covered almost all the automation capabilities in our like in a previous videos and many blog posts. So I was expecting the hardware in inventory also can be called using the API or using any automation like PowerShell or any other language. Maybe in future, that's what even the Microsoft also states that currently there is no option to export your data via API, but in future probably you would get it. But having said that, you can export the data as a CSV file. I will show you how to do that. All right. And what is the impact of a device inventory in your environment? How it would change your life? The IT team will be able to identify the device that does not support biometric sign-ins and so on, so on. So what I'm trying to explain here, I'm just trying to say give some real-time examples of probably how that would help if you implement if you deploy the enhanced device inventory in your environment. Okay, device can report on inventory without running third-party application. This is one of the great advantage. Device inventory is not something new for us, that everyone knows that. So there are other options that you could get the device inventory, maybe the hardware inventory data using many other third-party tools and many other options. But how you could get that? You probably have to say install some third-party tools, maybe you have to go with some other, like some maybe like any other tool, right? So by default in Intune there was no feature that would give you the device inventory data. Now it's been changed. Now you can use the default feature which is available in the Intune without installing any third-party application, without installing any tool. So what would be the impact of this? It will improve the system performance. What does it mean? So since you are not installing any tool, since you are not installing any third-party application, so and overall the device inventory stuffs are happening from the Intune itself. So Microsoft is stating that it would improve your system performance. So yeah, that makes sense for everyone, I believe. Also, the administrator can centralize data across IT and security team without learning a new software or leaving the Intune. Meaning that, see, on the Intune portal itself, you could manage your device inventory stuff. Like I said, you don't need any other third-party tools or any other third-party applications to manage your inventory. All right. So the fourth point is budget will accommodate the licensing cost. What does it mean? Meaning that you no need any additional license for the device hardware inventory, right? So if you have the core Intune license, what you're generally working on, right, that would be more than enough to deal with the inventory, device inventory stuff, or maybe the enhanced device inventory. All right, that's a great thing because you don't need to pay anything extra to the Microsoft, right? So the latest stage, what Microsoft is stating, the device inventory information will be available on the Copilot. That is great, right? Which means that currently it's not available in the Copilot for security. Also, you could do the enhanced inciting and the automation stuffs in later. Like I said, it's in the public preview though, but just released I think 2 months back, right? I don't really recall when this was released. I think first week of December, but the Microsoft was announced this feature in September or October. I don't really recall, sorry for that, but yeah, still it's something literally new for us. All right. Right, let me go to the prerequisites. So what are the prerequisites you have to keep in mind when you before you implementing a new feature? So to use the inventory, device must be a corporate owned device, all right, or it has to be managed by the Intune. You can get the inventory data on your co-managed devices as well, meaning that if the machine is on the SCCM also, you can use this inventory feature which is available in the Intune, but it has to be co-managed. That makes sense for everyone, I believe. Also, the Microsoft, it has to be Microsoft Entra joint devices as well. So there are three permissions that you have to keep in mind always before you start working on the inventory stuff. The user must have device configuration create permission and the organization read permission. All right. Also, for the user to view the collected data for devices, they must have a managed device read permission. So if you guys don't have these three permissions, probably you won't be able to manage your device inventory. All right, device hardware inventory. What are the supported platforms, right? So as we know, the Intune support only the desktop operating system, so I'm not so that would clearly explains what operating system it would support. Obviously Windows 11 and the Windows 10 currently, right? So the Windows 10 itself, which operating system, which version of operating system this would support, 21H2 or the 22H2. Even for Windows 11 as well, so it would support 21H2 and the later operating system with this particular KB install. This you have to keep in mind before you start working the a device hardware inventory. All right. So what are the required properties? This is little tricky, you know what? So when you configure the device inventory, enhanced device inventory in your Intune portal, I will show you that later, but when you're configuring this, say for example, if you try to fetch the data of your machine's battery, laptop battery, so there are some properties that would come by default wherein you can't change it. So there are other sub properties you can choose. Say for example, if you want like for example BIOS name, software element ID, or whatever, there are number of properties you could select it while you configure the inventory. But some properties that you can't change it. When you select the BIOS information itself, all these properties would come, and you can't get the BIOS information without these properties. These all are the required properties which would come by default, and you can't change it. So that you have option to change the other properties, but you have to keep in mind that when you fetch the details of the CPU, the processor ID would come. You can't fetch the details of CPU without the processor ID. You can't fetch the disk drive details without the drive ID. You can't fetch the video controller details without its identifier, right? So you can't get the details of network adapter without its identifier number. So that's how it works. I will show you how does that work. And if you guys are getting confused, I can clear it within a moment. All right, what are the known limitations of device hardware inventory? So this is also pretty important to understand. So like I said, when you work on any new feature or technology, you have to literally, if you guys are talking, please be on mute. Okay. Right. Oh, sorry for that. If you guys are working on any new feature or new technology, you must understand the limitations of that feature as well. That would help you to, like, work on that, right? Like, see, when you try to collect the information, when you gather the information from the through the hardware inventory or the enhanced hardware inventory, you have to keep in mind that collection of properties can only be stopped or deleted at the category level. What does it mean? When you deploy this enhanced hardware inventory to the client machines, you can't delete the inventory stuff from the device itself. You have to delete from the category level. Okay, after devising with Intune, it may take up to 24 hours for initial harvesting the inventory data. So it will take some time to get the data to your portal. All right, so that also makes sense. It's not live. That's what it means. Even our SCCM inventories also was not live. It was taking some some time, because you have to get the policy back. It has to go to the it has to communicate to the MP. So that's how it used to work in the SCCM. So the same way here also, it's taking some time. As per Microsoft, it says that it can take up to 24 hours. But when I have tested in my lab, it was not taking that much, but it was taking some time, right? So that also you have to keep in mind. To stop collecting the properties, navigate to the properties catalog profile. You have to remove the collection or delete the stuff from over there. So like I said, you can't do it from the client machine. You have to do it from the Intune portal itself. Even a properties policy is deleted, right? So you will still see the last collected data in Resource Explorer for up to 28 days, it seems. I haven't tested this, but yeah, this is what Microsoft states. So these are the non-limitations of the inventory, or maybe device inventory stuff. Maybe Microsoft would fix it in future. Not sure. All right, let me go to the next slide. How to troubleshoot this feature. So if you face any issues with the device inventory, right, how it can be troubleshooted. So there's a log which is available. This you can note it down under C programs, Microsoft device inventory agent. So there are three, I think 2-3 logs. You can just check to these logs, and you would be able to fix it, or maybe you would be able to understand what's exactly happening with the device inventory stuff. All right, so the logs also can be collected via the MDM diagnostics, or maybe the Intune diagnostics, right? So that also makes sense. All right, I will show you how to collect the, how to see the logs and what need to be checked. All right. So without wasting time, I believe, yeah, next is demo. All right. Hope you guys can see my screen. Again, I see I'm sharing my Intune portal.
Yes.
All right.
Can.
So yeah, let's go to the devices. The same way how you create any policies, right? Come here in the configuration, create a policy, just let it load, create a new policy, select the platform. Like I said, only the Windows 10 and later would be supported for the device inventory stuff. So I will select Windows 10 and later. All right, profile type. So previously, if you remember, we had two options, only the setting catalog and the templates. Right now you have the properties catalog as well. So well, I click the properties catalog. When you click the properties catalog, it states that start from the scratch and select the properties that you want to library of available inventory properties. All right, I'll just click create. I'll give some name, say hardware inventory. All right, I'll just give some name and description as well, right? I'll just click next, right? In the configuration properties, just click add properties. All right, so this is what I was explaining is, see, there are many properties. You see battery, BIOS, CPU, disk drive, logical drive, memory information, OS information, and all right. So when you click on the battery, right, I will just click here, and if I expand this one, you see this one, something called instance name, right? If I just click battery, so it's coming, it's just like, here you can't make any changes. You can just untick this, right? You can just go with the instance name, but like, you can't just untick this instance name and select the battery, right? So you can select the other stuffs as well. So when you go with the BIOS information, right? So when I click here, so there are some properties like BIOS name, software element ID, software elements, element state, and the target operating system. So are like not letting you to make any changes here, but you can untick the manufacturer. If you don't want the serial number to be collected, you can just untick. If you don't want the release date and time to be selected, you can just untick. The same way, if you check all the properties of this device inventory, enhanced device inventory, you could see one or other properties which is required. Right, I guess now it makes sense for you. So when you click on the CPU, the processor ID is a required properties. You can't collect the CPU information without collecting the properties of the processor ID. Right. The same way you can check any properties here. Right. So you can say like say for example some properties which doesn't have any required properties. For example, memory info. So you can just untick the maybe like any properties. There's nothing so default. So like in the network adapters, you see the when you click the network adapter identifier is a required property. So I'm not explaining everything, right? So if you when you get sometimes since it is in the public review, public preview, you probably can try to implement this on your infrastructure and see how does this work. All right, so here I will select everything. BIOS info, I'll select the CPU, I'll select the disk in drive, I'll select the say encryptable volume. I'll select the logic drive as well. I'll select the memory info. Let's select the OS version. Can select the time as well, right? TPM I will select video controller and the Windows stuff, Windows QFE. Right now I have selected all the properties, right? From here in the properties picker, right? I'll just select all and I'll just verify it. If you see here, it refresh every 24 hours, all right? Okay, I'll just click next. If you want to set the scope here, you probably can set the scope. For this testing, I'm not setting the scope. I'll go to the assignment directly. I will select my group name here, HTMD testing. What was that? Yeah, HTMD test group. All right. Oh, not this one. I had one. Okay, this one. So here I have one devices. I'm gonna deploy this profile to this one device. All right, so I'll just click next, and here I will review it, and I'll see the battery information. Everything is selected. BIOS information is selected. CPU is selected. Disk drive, logical drive, memory info, voice info, everything is selected. Here I'm good to create it. So scope tag, yeah, this is a default scope was selected. I have assigning this policy to the HTMD test computer. That's my group. All right, I'll just create. Right, it's creating the policy. It's been created. Like I said, it will take a while to replicate. So, but I'm not I don't have time to wait till the policies get replicated to the end user device. So since I have already created on policy, I will show you how does that work. Let me log into the machine. All right, so I'll go to the folders here. You see C program files, Microsoft device inventory, agent, and logs. There are logs available. Right, opening this log, you would be able to understand like what inventory data has been collected. All right, so you see the device inventory volume and so logical drivers selected. CPU informations are collected and the BIOS informations are collected. See, all this informations can be collected, and I'll show you how you can see the data from the Intune portal. So before that, all right, let me go back. Let me show you the move file as well. So you see, you probably know how does the move file would work and what does it mean by the move file. You see the move file here, right? For this inventory stuff. All right, I'll go back to my Intune console now. So since we have already deployed this policy, and like I said, it'll take a while to replicate the changes or maybe get the inventory data. You have to go to the devices once it is replicated in your environment. All right, just click on the device. Say I'll select device which I want to see. So this was the device which was there in my group. So I'll just go inside this device. All right, Okay. When you expand the monitor, all right, you have the lots of options that you could monitor regarding the devices stuffs like health, the performance, and the hardware and all. So I'll just click on the Resource Explorer here. You see the inventory data. I selected the battery, but this since it's a Azure virtual desktop, there's no battery information to show. But when I click on the BIOS information, so you see the BIOS informations are here. And when I click on the say the CPU, I have the CPU information the same way the memory information, all right, logical drive information, all right, I have CND drive. Also I have the network adapter details here, all right, the OS details. You could use the details for upgrading or whatever you want, all right. So the time details are here, the time zone is showing here, all right. The TPM and the video controller details are here, and all the details which you have selected when you creating the policies are showing here, all right. And like I said, there's no API options are available, but you could export this option by just clicking this export button, all right. When you click the export option, it will just export it right as a CSV file, and it will ask you to save it in your local machine, all right. That would help you to send this information to your upper management, or maybe like you can just keep the data and share it with your team, all right. I believe that's it about the inventory stuff. If we have any question, uh, we can discuss just another 2 3 minutes, and then I will.
Hello, Sujin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for your session. It is a wonderful session. So I have a couple of questions. The very first one is initial inventory data collection will be 24 hours, right? Now, after that, what is the time frame? The
Every
inventory
24
every
hours, it will get reselected. Sorry, so the synced, not just
that
the
that will
initial.
be
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, that will be delta inventory or uh, how about that? The
whole
second
inventory,
inventory.
the whole inventory data will get selected. I mean, the refreshed again.
You mean every 24 hours whole inventory will be
Yes,
synchronized?
right. Yes.
Can't we customize that timing from 24 hours to
No,
48?
that's what Microsoft says as a limitation. That we had that option in the SCCM, I believe, but in
Right.
Intune, there is no such option. So that's what Microsoft stated in the article as well. Maybe in future, right, they would add that prop option in the Intune inventory stuff as well. Since it's a new feature, there is no such option available.
Okay. Now you have selected bias information. We can see one data.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, how do we know when the hardware inventory was synchronized to collect this information?
So when
Because
you
on the
that's
above,
why you have to check the logs, not from here. When you check the logs, no, so you would be able to see that when the inventory ran. You see here, this logs was modified today, right? So maybe if you check the logs here, you would be able to. 1 second.
but if it is one or two machines, yeah, we can
Yeah,
do
I
it
understand that.
manually.
I understand your concern, but so far there is no such option. There is no option to get the details from the Intune portal. If you see it here, no.
Yeah, we don't see that.
Yeah, you could just see it from here. Last refreshed. See, this was the refresh time. That's it. That
Refresh
again.
time means that synchronization time.
Yes. But again, you have to go inside each machine.
Okay, then yeah, it
Yeah.
is difficult, I think.
It is difficult. That's why I have mentioned this in the limitation, right? Even Microsoft also admit that these are the limitations of the Intune device hardware inventory. But thinking like we didn't had this option previously. We didn't had any option to get this hardware details previously. We had only the device query details. But this is a good feature though. But yeah, since it's the new, obviously it would need a lots of improvement. Microsoft would do that hopefully.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
think as of now we can create a new properties catalog, or we can't add the existing properties, attributes and all, right? Whatever it is there by default, we can utilize that one.
Yes. Whatever the properties here, you have to use that. You can't see. We used to create a custom profile. We used to create a custom like a registry inventory and all in the SCCM, right? Right. So
Right.
the same way, you probably can't do it here. But I believe, like I said, yeah, it will like it'll get added for sure. And if you remember, like in the even though it's a hardware inventory, you could get the software details as well in the SCCM hardware inventory. Your app is .cpl data, like the installed software details can be collected using the hardware inventory in the SCCM, right? So that can be collected here in the Intune inventory, Intune hardware inventory.
Yeah, so if Microsoft is implementing by adding the last hardware inventory data like SCCM, that would be great to
Yeah,
make
it would
sure.
be.
Yeah,
It would be. Yeah, Microsoft knows that, so that's why they have added that as a limitation in their site. So they have already commented that they will work on that, and they will add it as a new feature probably in the upcoming release.
okay.